And good afternoon. This is Dr. Kimberly Barrington, and we are back again. I do believe that we have a title, and it is Politics with the Doc. So we're just going to talk politics, understand. You guys are going to learn as I'm learning. I'm so excited. 100 Shades of Diversibility has partnered with Glass Wing Public Affairs. Woohoo! And the CEO and founder is, I call her my Beth, but she can't be your Beth because she's my Beth. But I'm back here again with Beth Bowen, and she is out of Lansing, Michigan. And I want you guys to know, actually, she's like in the top 10 for marketing firms in Lansing. So she's a big deal. I'm just saying she's kind of a big deal. Yeah, because that's how I roll.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue into what we want to talk about today. That I live in Lansing and you live in Byron Center.
Yes.
So same state, different cities.
Yes. So today, many of you, number one, we want to say thank you for everyone who went out and voted yesterday in the primary. Woohoo! You know what? I need some what do you call that? Like a clap or an audience track or something, to play. But anyway.
Especially people who went out and voted for the first time yesterday. I worked at the polls in my area and we had two first-time voters. One was a young woman, so she had just gotten old enough to vote. And another one was an older person. And I don't know if it was that she hadn't voted before or if she had just become a citizen. She didn't elaborate. She just came in and said, this is my first time voting. And it's so exciting to be a part of someone's first time, that they get to exercise that right and they get to strengthen democracy by stepping up and making their voice heard through elections. It's very exciting.
Oh my gosh. So this takes me back about 50 years. And back in 1900s, when it was still in the 1900s and not in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, like towards the beginning of the 1900s. But I remember my very first time voting. I was 18 years old. I was so excited. I had joined the Navy, and they said, so I love it. They told us at the beginning of the year that if you wanted to vote by absentee ballot, that you could and vote in your home state, or, you had to use your military ID and you could register as a temporary citizen being, in the Navy and aboard a ship. And since we are domestically home ported, that we could, do it, but we had to sign a special waiver. And I just remember, so I did it in Charleston, South Carolina, at my first duty station. And I was so excited. I was stationed aboard the USS Holland, and a group of us. It was awesome, military in our little uniforms. And they set up on the base for us to be able to go and vote. And I was just like, oh my God. It was a presidential election. It was 1984. So y'all do the math. How old I was.
My first one was a presidential election.
So
yeah,
mine
was in 1992. Was my first presidential election, my first election, and my birthday's in September, so I couldn't vote in the primary that year. Wow. So it was the general was the first one that I could vote in because I turned 18 in September.
Yes, but I just thought that was. Okay, now I'm getting misty-eyed here a little bit. To think that, number one, I joined when I was 17. So I've always wanted to serve people and serve my country. And I think that's such a magnanimous act at 17. Who stops and says, you know what? Oh, I want to enlist. I want to drop everything I'm doing, because at that time, women, there's some that served early on, but as far as women being on ships, I was one of the first groups of women to go aboard a subtender. So that was an interesting experience, So it's no strange thing to me to be a trailblazer. So I'm so excited for those of you who supported me, in my primary. Of course, I didn't really have one because I was the only Democrat. So I'm like, yeah. But I am excited because I know who my opponent is going to be. So I want to say congratulations to Miss Angela Regas. And what I said to you in the Chamber of Commerce still holds true. I'm looking for a good, clean race, and I hope that we can do that. And so I'm excited to announce that she will be my opponent. I'm ready. I'm excited. And so that leads me into wow, got lots of phone calls yesterday saying, hey, I have supported you financially. I got some nice contributions through ActBlue, and they said your name was not on my ballot.
Okay, and we're going to talk about why it was not on the ballot. So, campaign finance law in this state and federally states that a U.S. citizen can donate money out of their personal funds to any candidate in any race that they want to. You don't have to live in the same district. You don't even have to live in the same state to
You
donate.
sure don't. And I want to say so much to, oh my gosh, Deborah Vick, who lives all the way in Sacramento, California, who is a very dear friend through, Rolling on the Road and 100 Shades. And she saw the video that we did. I don't know if you guys, it's kind of floating around. It's going a little viral. It's been shared a ton of times. I'm excited. And she got excited about the video and donated to the campaign through ActBlue all the way from California.
Yep, you don't have to be in the same district, and you can support the candidates that you like, that you want to give 5, 10, 25, up to however much money you want to give or are able to give to a candidate. But if you want to know who's going to be on your ballot, that is entirely determined by where you live. I think in the first episode, we talked about that the president of the United States is the only office that every single American citizen can vote on.
Yes, we did.
And beneath that, it's based on where you live. So beneath that, you'd go to the U.S. Senate. And so that's based on your state. Then your congressperson in the U.S. House is based on the district that you live in, and so on and so forth, down closer and closer to your municipality, to your local offices, to your school districts, that sort of thing. And so you can imagine if you're a clerk and you have to sort out all those different areas where things overlap. Sometimes you have county commission seats and school districts that overlap. And so, someone lives in your neighborhood, but they are districted with a different county commissioner, but you're in the same school district, for instance. You would have 2 different ballots because you have to. Oh, thanks, Amber. I'll be your Beth too. So you have to have 2 different ballots to make sure that you vote for the right county commissioner, even though you would vote in the same school board or the same millage elections. So you can go to, here in Michigan, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and put in your name and your address, and it will show you what your ballot is going to look like. And you can print that out. You can take it with you to the polling place. You can use it to research candidates. You can use it to fill out your absentee ballots if you want to. An educated voter is an empowered voter. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows that you can spread your money around to different candidates and different issues and how you want to support. But when it comes to voting, it's based on where you live.
Wow. Thank you so much for clearing that up for us. Mm-hmm. Because I did get, a few calls that, hey, your name wasn't on the ballot, but you know what? I donated to your campaign. Now, you said something that was very key, and I think people may have missed it, where it says that you can support a candidate in another district as well as the candidate of your choice in your district. And let's talk about the importance of supporting people to go to Lansing.
Absolutely.
You're in the state of Michigan, so to go to our state capital. For those who are in other states, you're voting for people to be your state rep on your state level, wherever your capital is. And not only do you vote for that, then you vote for someone who's going to represent you in Congress. in the Congressional Senate. So what is the purpose of, let's say I have $2,000 that I've earmarked because this is a midterm election year, and we know with Roe versus Wade, I'm looking for some pro-choice candidates, but maybe there's not one in my district. Okay, let's say there is one in my district, and then there's one in another district.
Yeah.
And I want to give $1,000 to District 8 and someone who's in my district. How does that work?
Well, and the reason that you would want to do that is because when you're talking about legislative bodies, so in Michigan, we have a bicameral legislature. We have a House and a Senate. Not all states are set up the same way. We have both houses, and they are full-time. And when you go into a legislative body, you are one vote out of however many there are based on population. So in that district, based on population, you represent the people that are in that district if you get elected to that office, but you also represent everyone in your state. So you have your direct constituents, you have your direct voters, but you also represent everybody in the state and what's good for the state. And how you do that is that you forge alliances with other elected officials in the legislature. If you go to the House, the Michigan State House, there are 110 seats. And so when Dr. Kimberly is elected, she would be one of 110. So she would have all of these colleagues to work with, to ally with, to be a part of a caucus, which is based on political party. But you can also have a caucus based on things you want to get done. And that's separate from sitting on committees, which are cut up in terms of topics like education, agriculture, good government, those sorts of committees. So supporting other candidates gives your candidate in your district somebody who has shared values. In another district, it gives them someone to work with. If you support them financially, or if you volunteer for them, you make calls, knock doors, work on social media or websites, anything that you do like that, you're trying to build a good team of people who can go to the legislature and work toward the values that you share. So that's why you would want to donate. Or if it's someone out of state, if it's a congressional candidate out of your state, that person is still going to work with your congressperson. And so if you see someone and they have values, you used Roe as an example, I want to support pro-choice candidates, then I'm going to give $5, $10, $25, $50 to this candidate in another state because I see this person needs the support, they're struggling, but I want them to have some more dollars. So I pitch in some money there.
And we need to talk about, because I'm going to say, you don't have to stay within your party.
Nope.
You can give to another party.
Mm-hmm.
And when you work together that way, it's called bipartisanship. And if many of you have noticed in the last 3 months, when Governor Whitmer is signing something new, it always leads that this was bipartisanship. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Bipartisanship is working together with another partisan group. So partisan refers to our political parties. Yesterday, I was working the elections. We had, because it was the primary, we had the Republican candidates, the Democratic candidates. That's the partisan part of the ballot. Then there were nonpartisan parts, which were ballot proposals. One was for our 911, one was for a juvenile mental health millage, and one was a school question. So those are nonpartisan. So everybody could vote on those. Whereas with the primary, you could only vote Republican or only vote Democrat. But then once everyone is elected, to be bipartisan, you go in and you craft solutions to problems with people who are possibly in another political party than you, but have the same office, another state representative. Maybe that person lives in the UP. Maybe that person lives in Detroit. Maybe that person lives in Traverse City. Yeah. So But if you're a Republican and that person's a Democrat and you work together on a piece of legislation or on an initiative or something that improves someone's life somewhere, you engaged in bipartisanship. And it's something that we want to see more of. I think most voters are tired of partisanship, which is the opposite of bipartisanship. So, everything is, by the party, and that's it. Whatever the party says, whatever the party leaders say, instead of individual leaders who go in and lead with their values and lead to solve problems and make government work the best way it can for everyone.
Example of that, in 2019, I worked with Bola Faith. I'm a Democrat. I worked with Bola Faith, who is a Republican, and the initiative that he was pushing was for changing signs, changing minds. Many of you saw it I want to say it came out this week, where it's going to be signed throughout the whole state. But we went and we worked together. I went to Lansing and we went and we knocked on doors to get people to support the changing signs, changing minds, meaning that we were going to change the signs that you see around with people in wheelchairs. So instead of them being stagnated, they're going to be moving forward, because that's what we do. And we also wanted to change languaging as it relates to signage, languaging for employers when they want to employ someone that is diversely able. Even at the congressional level, we want to make sure that the language is inclusive, not exclusive, and using proper terminology when referring to someone who may have a diverse ability. And I'm telling you, we started at 9 o'clock in the morning. They were going to meet at, I think it was like at 5:15. So we worked right up to 4:59. We had 51 supporting votes. That was exciting.
That is. Well, bipartisanship in the U.S. Congress at the federal level is Representative Peter Meyer in Dr. Kimberly's district, and he and Representative Alyssa Slotkin. So Representative Meyer is a Republican, Representative Slotkin is a Democrat. They worked together on the PACT Act that was just recently, this past week, passed through the Senate on its way to President Biden's desk for a signature, to provide health care for veterans who were exposed to burn pits during the Gulf War and any war after that, any deployment after that. Very important to support our veterans, but also a shining example of bipartisanship, working together, getting things done for people who really, really need it.
That was definitely a win. I have some friends who have struggled. I mean, that's. I have a friend who is losing her vision due to exposure, and to be able to tell her as soon as it went through that this happened. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. We do have some comments.
Wonderful.
Mary Minnick, she says, it is too bad the congressional candidates don't have to live in the seat in the city that they run in. There are candidates that signs the form that say that they will not spend or raise more than $1,000, so they don't have to file with the FEC.
That's true. You can file a waiver that you won't raise more than $1,000. I don't know if that's a separate comment from living in your congressional district.
It's from Mary. Mary wrote two comments. So her first, so I guess we have to read the first one first. So the first comment was, because I think it reads up this way, that way. So the first comment was, there are candidates that sign the form saying that they will not spend or raise more than $1,000, so they don't have to file with the FEC.
And that's true at the state level as well, which means they can't raise money. So their name is on the ballot, but you can't really do a whole lot if you have under $1,000.
Why would someone want to do it that way? She states so they don't have to do reporting. However, how do you explain, if you're not going to do signs, or
Mhm.
can you just do in-kind donations? So you're just saying that you're not going to spend that or raise that, but doesn't get any in-kind donations count?
In-kind donations would count because you have, even if someone donates food as an in-kind donation to an event, you have to attach a dollar amount to that when you report. So if someone, was constantly donating food and it added up to over $1,000, you would have to report that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then
And
her,
not living in your congressional district, I don't know that that's true, because we saw several congressional districts redrawn this year as a result of the 2020 census, and we saw sitting Congress people primary each other because they lived in the same district when it got redistricted, and they were of the same political party, so they had to run against each other.
mm, I think that's probably been the most difficult. Um, just to watch, where I think that there were some really great candidates,
Mhm.
and if they were in different districts, I think it would have been different. I would say it would be better.
Mhm.
However, that means I have to choose between two really great folks that I think that they both should have been in, but because of the redistricting, now they're in the same district. So, that,
But at the same time, isn't it great to have multiple good candidates to choose from,
and
instead of the lesser of two evils, which I hear from people of all political stripes, to say, I'm tired of having to pick from the lesser of two evils. I had people yesterday at the election say, can I not vote for one office or another? And the answer is always yes. You can vote for as many or as few choices on your ballot as you want. You can leave choices blank.
um, so when I went to vote yesterday, a lot of the questions were, well, I want this person in this party, but I want this person in this party. And they were like, no,
Mhm.
you have to vote a straight ticket in the primary.
Yep.
But when it comes to the general election, you can
Yes.
choose.
You can choose whoever you want, and no one will know because it's a secret ballot and it's between you and you.
And that's a good thing. Well, we want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excuse me. They were sorry. They were pushing on my vocal cords today.
Mm,
Just a little irritated. Anyway, thank you so much.
yep.
I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that we answered a lot of questions today.
Great.
And again, we want to say congratulations to all of you who won your primary on yesterday.
Mhm.
Wow, 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 wow. And those, I'm telling you, I was up until about 3 o'clock in the morning watching all the results. I said, I gotta go to bed, waiting for all of the results to come in. And,
Mhm.
but it was just, I think this was such a good race. There were some really great people that came out and really stepped up. And I think
Mhm.
that's the part that I love the most, is that there were more than 952 candidates who said, I want to be the change that I want to see. And I'm
Yep.
willing to put myself out there and
Mhm.
everything about me. And I just appreciate the personal bravery and courage that every person, even if you did not win, you
Yep.
still were brave, courageous to even put yourself out there. Many of you did this for almost a full 8 months. Some people signed up in December of last year, um, and waited to see where they were going to get moved to. So they signed up originally for whatever their district was, and then I think it was like January, February, when we got the final, districts said
Mhm.
okay, and they all had to be shifted over. So that took a lot. That took a lot.
Absolutely.
Personal bravery and courage. And so I encourage you to please come back again in 2 years, if you want to do it, or just come alongside those that still have to finish the race until
Mhm.
November 8th. And
Absolutely.
Beth, we love you. We
I
just
love you too.
and
This is so much fun.
we appreciate you taking your time out to share
Mhm.
and to combat against misinformation. I think that is our biggest enemy is misinformation.
Mhm.
And we know that we have spent the last 3 years, 4 years with some misinformation.
Mhm.
And those who are choosing to carry the torch of misinformation, we are hoping to extinguish it, put it out, put it out. And that's why we're going to be here every single week through November,
Mhm.
explaining to you bit by bit, being transparent and saying, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what's happening, and explaining. Because a lot of times I think people just don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. So we're here to try to answer any questions. Hey, if there's something that you want to know in particular,
Yeah.
Beth's number is scrolling on the bottom. It's 517-974-1744. You can reach out to her and we'll be here again on next week. Same time, same place. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.